Rochdale, a sleepy Greater Manchester town, known by a few for its town hall and rated as the third worst place to live in the UK. So with nothing going on, the tragic murder of Eileen Jalzak sprung the town into shock and a feeling of unsafety. With the summer's headlines being filled with the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center in New York, the conviction of Michael was not focused on. Eileen's death was not lingered on by the press for long and was swiftly forgotten by the world over. In this piece, I'm going to discuss the tragic murder of Eileen Jalzak and looking at how one man can bring a whole town to its knees. First, I'm going to speak to Greater Manchester police officer Michael Jackson, who has served in the police force for over 15 years and can give us an insight on how life is for a PC. How does the Eileen Jalzak case compare to anything that you've experienced in your long stint as a police officer?
I've probably been fortunate that I've not experienced anything of that magnitude. You do deal with some serious cases. I would think probably one of the worst things I've ever dealt with was somebody who jumps off a motorway bridge, and it's sad, and you deal with the job at the time, but it's not a nice thing to see, and it's certainly not something that you want to see on a regular basis. The policing's changed probably for the better in some circumstances and for the worse in others. I think things are dealt with probably better than they were then because of it, situations like that.
Rochdale train station is one of the only ways to go to and from the town, and it was here in the summer of 2000 when Michael Hardacre raped a 19-year-old girl on his reign of terror after stabbing her with a broken bottle. On her way to work, she was the first girl to suffer from his crimes. Michael went on a rampage that would leave women terrified to leave their homes. He raped 4 women, stabbing one and beating one 58-year-old woman within an inch of her life. He beat and robbed at least 6 more people. His crimes peaked when Eileen Jalzak was on her way home. So, thank you for doing this. I know it's a touchy subject. It's a big case and it can have an effect on anybody. So, can you tell us anything about it that we don't know?
Well, I don't know what you do know in the first instance, but one of the major things about the Eileen Jalzak murder was that it was detected in some ways by use of footprints, which isn't normally unusual, but it was unusual in this case because the footprint was on her cheek, on the side of her head, where the offender had stamped on her. And I can remember going down to Guy's Hospital in London and taking a photograph of the facial injury, and it was compared by a professor down there whose name I don't remember, unfortunately. And they ran tests on the picture, on the face impression with the footwear itself that we'd see from Hardacre's flat, and it was a perfect match. It was like a jigsaw, the last piece of the jigsaw slotted in, and that went a long way to convict him.
Cases as brutal as the Eileen Jalzak case are never easy for a police officer to experience, and being first on the scene can seriously damage an officer's sanity for a long time to come. This is one of the many dangers that becoming a police officer has. It's not just a physical risk, it can take a toll on the mind of an officer. This is where Eileen lived, a quiet corner in deeplish Rochdale. Although it wasn't the most glamorous place to live, Eileen felt safe walking home when returning from a night out with some friends. It was here where Michael Hardacre attacked Eileen when she was on her way home from a college reunion at a local pub. Michael beat the 65-year-old woman within an inch of her life while strangling her with her tights, on her own, just 2 minutes away from her home. Eileen had a history of hearing problems, so when Michael was telling her not to look at him whilst attacking, she could not comply. Michael took this as a personal attack and slashed her eyes with a craft knife before leaving her to die. Michael was convicted for 4 counts of rape, 1 murder and various other assault charges. He is currently spending a 143-year sentence in prison. With Michael put away, the town could go back to how it was, without living in constant fear, not knowing what was around the corner. Just because it was over, didn't mean that we could forget. The crimes that Michael committed will always be remembered for generations to come. We should not let these incidents be forgotten, because if we simply brush them under the rug, they will continue to happen.